Hi, Tim. I don't know if you can hear me, but this is Carl from the Nimbus Center.
Hi, Carl, can you hear me? Sorry, you're on mute there, Carl.
Thanks. Sorry, I can hear you.
Hear me okay?
Just waiting for Wen to join now.
Okay.
But I've given you co-host rights, so you should be able to share your screen.
Yeah, I'll just
You
check
need
that there now, Carl.
Yeah.
So,
Yes,
can you
I
see
can.
the PowerPoint?
Yeah, I can see the PowerPoint now.
Yeah,
Perfect.
okay. I'll just close down other things here now. So, close that down. Okay, so I think everything is ready.
Yeah, okay. Should be good to go. So.
So it seems to be, the event seems to be going pretty well. I was on some of the earlier sessions, so it's really good.
Aside from a couple of technical glitches, it's been going smoothly enough.
Yeah.
So which ones did you see?
There was a guy there on the Asia section. I forget his name. He's got a business in China.
Yeah, or Shay O'Sullivan.
Shea Sullivan. Yeah.
Yeah. He's doing actually the workshop after this one, I think.
Okay.
Wow.
And then on the main stage there was I was just listening to the webinar or the panel discussion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been following the Asia stage the whole time, just because this one obviously follows on from that a little bit.
Okay. So what way does this work, Carl? Does someone introduce it, or do I just introduce?
Yeah, so I think Wen will introduce you. Wen Chen from the he invited you, I presume.
Yeah.
So and then there'll be a Q&A at the end, which you might have been informed of already, assuming we get questions in the chat.
Yeah, fine. For those, just to check there, I just went on to presentation mode. You can still see the screen, right?
Yeah. I have the WRX Flow presentation there.
Okay. Where are you based, Carl?
In the Nimbus Center in Cork.
Okay. So there's someone there, Stephen Egan. Do I let you take care of the admitting?
Yeah, don't. We'll wait.
Okay.
Until 11.
I'll leave it to you.
Yeah, we won't admit.
So are you going to look after that?
Yeah, I will. I'll look after all of that. I won't admit anyone until 11. I know, aside from yourself and Wen.
So these virtual events are becoming the norm now. It's a big shock to everybody over the last year, but I think certainly I think we'll see, even when the pandemic is over, I think we'll see more events like this.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think this one, Richard, the head of the tech center, but he's heading the conference as well. He was saying the plan for next year is to do this both physically and virtually at the same time,
Yeah.
you know. And I think last year we did have a YouTube stream, but it was only so that people who were in a different room in the conference could see what was on the screen.
Yeah.
But to try and push that out to get registrations from everywhere, I think everyone's gotten so used. Sorry, just saying the screen sharing kind of technology now, everyone's so familiar with it, and it's come on even during the pandemic and gotten better. That I think.
Yeah, it has. Yeah.
That there's
And I
no
think
going
back
back
in
really.
it,
Like.
I should have bought shares in Zoom.
Yeah.
Their share price went through the roof.
Yeah, it's a mad one. I don't know why it was Zoom in particular. I feel like nobody had heard of it before before the pandemic, you know.
Everyone knows it now.
It's probably a word in the dictionary by now.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of new words have been created from the pandemic. Yeah. And is Richard based in Cork as well?
Yeah, so Richard is the head of the tech center, which is part of Nimbus Center.
Where what part of Cork?
So we're in CIT actually, the Cork Institute of Technology, or the MTU.
Okay.
I'm from Ballincollig personally.
Okay.
But yeah, so within Nimbus, there's the like dedicated research half, and then there's the tech, the tech side, which is industry facing, and we work with private clients to help them secure national and international funding, and to work on usually startups, like, but also any size company that has projects, innovative projects that they want to work on, you know, in IoT and beyond that as well. So Richard is the head of that side of the company, the tech center, as it's called.
Okay.
And the head of the conference, the Beyond IoT, that is now in its 4th year.
So this is the 4th year this is run. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's scaled up significantly in that time, I think.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm hoping we're going to see when before 11.
Yeah, 5 minutes. And Carol, will the questions come in on text, or can people talk as well, or what way?
No, so everyone aside from the hosts is going to be muted and won't be able to turn their video on, so that they'll have to put messages into the chat.
Okay.
And I'll be there just to delete anything inappropriate, or if anyone needs to be taken off the call.
Right.
I'll be looking at what's coming in the chat.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm not sure when we have people joining the waiting room at this stage when to start. I suppose I'll still wait till 11.
Are these sessions being recorded, Carl? All of these?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
okay.
if you don't mind.
That's fine, that's fine.
Okay.
So these will be available. So we could look back on any session, Carl, after the event, right?
Yes, I'm not sure how the video will be made available, but I presume
Yeah, fine.
a section of this will be edited out, and the same with the rest. Okay, so we have a couple of people in the waiting room. I don't know how you want to proceed.
So yeah, it's 11, so I'll kick off, will I? When should he be here? But are you going to introduce, or will I just start?
I can introduce. I was assuming Wen will be here, but in his absence, I don't mind introducing.
It's not many. There's only 2 people there, right?
Yeah, there's only 2 people here so far.
But I suppose I'll just get going, and whether there's 2 or 20, I'll just keep going regardless.
Okay. Yeah, so I'll allow you to introduce yourself. So I suppose, if you don't mind, I'll.
Yeah.
Okay, so well, I was going to say with 3 people, but 2 of them are the same person. But I'll start admitting now.
Okay.
Hi team. Hi Carl. Hi guys.
Hi, Wen. How are you?
Good.
Will we get started?
Yeah, I think let's get started, and then let people to join later.
Okay, so I'll kick off. So guys, okay, so good morning, everybody. Welcome to this session. So my name is Tim Crow. I'm CEO of Worksflow. So a little bit on my background here. I would have spent many years working for Dell, designing and building factories, and in recent times, I would have ran the Polish facility. I also set up Dell's supply chain in Chengdu, China, and ran that for a while. And then about 2 years ago, I set up Worksflow, myself and 2 other partners. And really, we set it up, having an operational background, we wanted to bring technology to fix problems that say I had when I was running factories. And I'll talk a little bit more about Worksflow in a while. But today, really, the topic is about how to develop and implement an Industry 4.0 strategy. And what I'm going to cover is, I'm just going to talk about what is Industry 4.0, explain some of the key terms, The status of Industry 4.0 in 2021, I've got some recent data from McKinsey that is worth taking a look at. Then I'll cover 7 steps to implementing the strategy, common pitfalls to avoid, and then what we do in workflow and how we implement Industry 4.0 solutions. So many of you will be familiar with this graphic here. Back in the 1700s, we had Industry 1, which is all about steam power and mechanization. In the late 1800s, we had mass production lines and assembly lines. Ford being a great example that everybody knows about. Then in the late 1900s, we had Industry 3.0, which is all about automation, computers and electronics and robotics and so on. And now we're in the era of Industry 4.0, which is cyber physical systems, Internet of Things, connected devices, lots and lots of data. So that's how it's evolved. And looking at some of the key terms then, I think Industry 4.0 is new for a lot of people. They're trying to figure it out. Some factories and companies are mature in this area, many aren't. And I suppose I just want here just to cover a few of the key terms, because sometimes some of these can be misinterpreted. If I give you an example, OEE, overall equipment effectiveness, is a term that's around for a long time. But I go into companies today and they say, oh, we have OEE, and I ask them, so how do you define that, or how do you measure it? And they have actual production running time over planned production running time, which is your uptime. They don't consider performance, they don't consider quality. So it's a very misinterpreted term. So I think in IoT, it says there are some terms that can be misinterpreted. But let's step through some of the key ones. IoT itself is a network of physical devices digitally interconnected, facilitating communication and exchange of data through the internet. So from an industrial perspective, that can be sensors like pressure, vibration, etc., RFID tags, and passing real-time data on the condition of the equipment that it's monitoring. So big data and analytics. So big data is all the data that comes from these IoT devices. And because a lot of this information can be captured real time, you can have the data sizes are enormous here, depending on what you're working on and what you're doing. And there's no point in having IoT and collecting all the data unless you have a data analytics strategy. Sorry, just go back there. Yeah, so unless you have a data analytics strategy to match. So that's where it's really important that when you have big data, that you have a way of visualizing it and capturing learnings real time from it. Cloud computing is a very common term. I think with all of this staggering amount of data that's being captured, cloud is a very good way of storing and managing it. Some companies do it on premise, but many more and more are moving to the cloud. And the benefits of cloud are the fact that you don't have to have an infrastructure on premise and managing lots and lots of servers, that this is provided as a service to you. Additive manufacturing or 3D printing is a key technology that we're all becoming very familiar with. And I mean, I think we're at the early stages of what that can do. And I think in the future, you're going to see things like you could have, for example, a warehouse that in the past would have been full of inventory. In the future would be no inventory, but it would be digital files, digital 3D files. So as a customer orders the part, it's digitally 3D printed and sent out. So I think the 3D printing is an area that continues to offer lots of new and exciting opportunities and solutions. Digital twins then is often confused with simulations or engineering simulations. So digital twin is creating a real world representation of a machine or a process or a system. So with a simulation, you're looking at something offline where you're running various scenarios on your process. But in digital twins, you're actually capturing live data from the equipment or from the process and bringing that into a model to do some prediction and some simulation around how the equipment will perform from its live data and under varying circumstances. Augmented reality, again, a very common term as well. It's probably more prevalent at the moment in the consumer space. I think businesses and factories are using this more and more. So this is where you superimpose, say, augmented reality over reality. So that could be, for example, you might point your tablet at a machine or your phone at a machine, and it tells you detail on how the machine is performing. It could give you work instructions. It could give you lots of data related to that machine. So augmented reality is becoming very prominent, I think, growing a lot in the manufacturing space. So they're just some of the key terms. There's lots more, but having a look then at some of you might be familiar with the Gartner hype cycle. So when a lot of these technologies come out, they go through various phases. So when you look at the start, and you can see here on the left, right? So this is the left is the expectations, and on the bottom axis we have time. So a lot of this new technology goes through a phase of high expectations where everybody gets excited about the technology. Everyone thinks it's going to be great and can't wait to have it. And then you hit the peak of inflated expectations, where those expectations hit a peak, and then skepticism comes in, and then the expectations drop. And over time, then some of these technologies will drop off. They won't come to market, like Google Glass being one, may come back, but had high expectations, then it dropped off. But some of these technologies then will reach a plateau of productivity where it become the norm, and where businesses are generating benefit from. So a lot of these technologies in Industry 4.0, you can see on the left, there's new ones coming out all the time, and they go through this cycle, this hype cycle. So I pulled in here some data that's only recently been released by McKinsey over the last couple of weeks, and some interesting data in relation to, given the COVID crisis in 2019 and where Industry 4.0 is at now. First one here is around that. So this is a survey of many companies that leaders of companies that McKinsey went out to. And the first one here is related to the scaling of Industry 4.0. So when you look at here, and it might be kind of surprising, but the percentage of companies that say they have successfully scaled is quite low. And those that are stuck in pilot purgatory, they have a pilot going and they just can't get out of it, and they haven't passed the pilot stage, is quite high. So you can see in 2020, 26% say they successfully scaled and 74% say they didn't. You can see there in 2019, it was actually higher, 44%, but what's been happening is the expectations of Industry 4.0 have been increasing. So each year, everybody expects more from it. So that's why you have, and with the COVID crisis, you'll see a drop, and why we have seen a drop in 2020. But it may be surprising to some, but that's the reality is that most companies don't make it, and they're stuck in pilot. The next one is the COVID crisis has forced some companies to halt their investment, and the reason for that is, and you can see here, 39% of those who halted, they said that the implementation wasn't possible because of travel restrictions or remote working, pandemic-driven cash constraints, team capacity constraints. So, and then senior manager directives to stop the implementation. So 2020 has had an impact, and they're the reasons cited for that. I think hopefully in 2021 that most companies will overcome those. And when you look at 2019, what leaders of companies and businesses were calling out as the key constraints or barriers to Industry 4.0, biggest one was lack of people knowledge and skills, data security, and lack of funding. But in 2020, that switched to lack of funding become the biggest reason, and people knowledge and skills has dropped down. So funding is seen as a big constraint in 2020, and probably will continue through 2021. And the last one here in relation to some of the statistics here, and I think this is really from what we did in 2020, but when you look at what are the major focus areas for companies implementing Industry 4.0, and the big one here is digital technologies that enable remote working for non-frontline workers. So, and the second one there in being able to get end-to-end data from real-time data from your supply chain. So it's really about giving people information that they can use when they're working from anywhere. And the third one there is the visualization of that data and making it transparent and easy to see what's happening in your manufacturing process. So it's an interesting one there. I mean, I think a year ago, you probably wouldn't have had all those in the top, but that's becoming ever more important now for companies, is that they can have this remote access and they have the ability to do their jobs from anywhere, particularly for non-frontline workers. Okay, so I'll just go into the seven key steps to implement Industry 4.0 as I see them. And I'll go through these, each one in more detail, but just to step through them here. First one is align on the why of Industry 4.0, then prepare for a culture change. Starting small, taking step at a time once your strategy is defined and taking the right steps. Mapping out your roadmap, getting the right partners and expertise. And as you start your rollout is making sure you gather feedback, refine as required and adjust your plans as necessary, and then scale and transform your business. So there are the 7 steps. If I just step through those, the first one is align on the why you want to do it. So Industry 4.0 means many things to many people, and I suppose the thing that's really important is digital transformation actually doesn't lead with technology, it leads with people and process. If you're looking at digital transformation or Industry 4.0 is going to fix lots of your problems, and you don't consider the people process side, it's going to fail. You also need to link it to your business strategic plan and goals. I mean, most businesses, any successful business will have their business plan and strategic plan. And it's important that your Industry 4.0 plan is linked to that. So that helps you then get buy-in and justifies why you're doing it. Also, it's important to have Industry 3.0 running well. I mean, if you have production lines with lots of equipment and robotics, and it's important that you have those connected in a way that allows you to go to Industry 4.0. I mean, if you don't have that basic connectivity in place, you got to do it before you step into what Industry 4.0 can give you. And then the key is management buy-in. It's really important. I have seen companies where people and engineers have gone off and tried to do their own thing, and without management buy-in, it doesn't work. You got to have management understanding why they're doing it. You got to have them behind it and supporting it. So that's the first step. It's all about making sure that you understand why you're doing it and making sure that you have the basics in place. The second one is preparing for the culture change. So with Industry 4.0, it brings a lot of new solutions and technologies which do change the way you run your business. So in the past, before Industry 4.0, people had, you might have whiteboards that you're processing, you're putting up information in relation to what's happening, writing it up on the board. And in the past, you wouldn't have had all the live data feeds that Industry 4.0 brings. So with all of these real-time data, lots and lots of data, the way you use it changes the way business processes work and the way people do their jobs. So it's important that you consider the culture change within the business. And engagement at all levels is really critical. So as I said, management, you got to engage with, but you got to engage with people running the equipment in your process as well. So in projects we do in Workflow, the feedback from the people running machines is important as the feedback at any level, because people running the process know it better than anybody. And if you want to get people to buy into what you're doing at every level, you've got to engage them and get their input and get their feedback and educate them on what you're doing. So that's a whole culture, that piece that is equally as challenging as the technology itself. The other one's be prepared to challenge the status quo. Be prepared for change. Be prepared to get your people in the mindset that we're going to change how we do things. There'll always be pushback, and managing that pushback and knowing, having the skills to do that is important. You'll always have people that are really promoting it within your business. You'll have people that sit on the fence, and you'll have people that are detractors, and managing them is really important. So when you have people that are promoting it, you got to keep them there, keep them energized, keep them behind the projects. People on the fence, you got to get them over to promoters, and those who are non-believers, you've got to work with them really closely. And you learn from your mistake. Be ready to learn from mistakes, and mistakes are okay. I mean, there's no way you can go through an Industry 4.0 transformation and not make mistakes. So accepting that and learning from them is really important. The third step then is starting small, right? So once you build your strategic plan and what you want to do and where you want to get to, is start with a small project. So this is a marathon. It's not a sprint, and you gotta go at the pace that your organization can handle. So you take advantage of quick wins. Start with quick wins. Build momentum and support. So really, the very first place I would look to start in any digital transformation strategy or rollout is find a compelling operational issue. Find one of your biggest problems, or an area that's really important to your process. Make sure that your people, process, and technology are ready. So get everybody on board, get them engaged, and go through the plan with them. And then be able to measure the impact. So when you implement your first project, that you can actually clearly measure the benefit of what you put in. And when you do that a few times, then you can take that step one, then you go to step two. Everybody knows your end state vision, and you're moving forward. It also helps from a cost perspective when you do it that way. I mean, I see companies talking about, oh, I got to spend millions and millions on Industry 4.0. I don't look at it that way. I think you got to have your vision, and then you do your spend on the first project. You get the benefit from that. So as you're spending, you should be seeing the benefit coming in parallel. So you then don't end up in a big, massive spend, and then at the end of it say, well, we didn't get what we wanted out of this, and we spent all this money. So taking steps like this is really important, and is the roadmap to success. Then you map out the technology implementation. So you have your step one, your step two, step three of the projects you want to do. You need to map out how you're going to connect those and how you're going to scale those. So how are your data flows going to go from your equipment? When you're in a lot of cases, you got to bring information from ERP systems or MES systems. So it's important that you have a plan around how all that's going to connect. And with Industry 4.0, you're going to have large volumes of data. So you need to understand how you're going to handle all that data, and ensuring that you don't get overwhelmed with data or your systems don't crash. So it's all about making sure you have that technology implementation plan. So as you scale, that you know it's going to work and that you've thought it through. The step 5 then is seeking out partners and expertise. Some companies will try to do it themselves, but really, I think it's important for any company that's really serious about being successful here. You've got to partner with outside expertise, vendors who can scale the technology for you, that can understand what you're trying to achieve, and can guide you and partner with you on that path. You need to partner with companies that have the technology and have the expertise to help you, and that they have a proven track record in your area or in what they do. The next step then is the gathering feedback and refine as required. So once you're on the path to the Industry 4.0, it's important to have your KPIs defined at each step, that you're able to measure success. Make sure on the journey that you have accountability so that every stakeholder knows what part they have to play in it, and making sure that, that everybody is contributing, whether it's IT on the technology side or engineering or maintenance or HR even or any other function. Make sure that all of those involved, that they know their place and that they are doing their piece. Create a strong and open feedback loop. It's really important, particularly from people that are actually using the technology from on the production floor perspective, but also people that use the data and use it to do their job. So it's important to have that connected and open feedback loop. On the right hand side there, you'll see plan, do, check, act. It's a common phrases and continuous improvement. That's exactly what applies here. And then the last point in this one is being agile and open to changes and adjustments. It's really important that more than likely, as you go through your deployments, that you're going to change things. You're going to learn new things. You need to make adjustments, and you need to be agile and be open to that. And the last one here then is scale and transform your business. So a couple of key points on this one is, if you have, say, more than one production line, or you have more than one factory, and it's important that, first of all, that when you bring in new technology, that you test it, you pilot it in one area, and you prove that it works. But the thing you got to be careful of here is that as you go maybe from line to line or from factory to factory, that you don't adapt the technical solution to fit the process. I mean, standardization is important. If you're building a product in one factory one way, you need to be building that product in another factory the same way. So that allows you to scale much faster. So when you prove technology, you say for one product or one line or one factory, that you can scale quickly across the others. And I've seen it, and I've done ERP implementations over many years. And what you find some companies trying to do is that they try and adapt the ERP for the way the process is run today. And that's a recipe for disaster. It's really important that you have your processes cleaned up, running as effectively as they can be, whether they're automated or manual, and that you have, I mean, a continuous improvement program is an ideal place to bring in Industry 4.0, because that culture is already there, standardization is already there. So it's important to consider that, because when you have that right, then you can scale much faster and realize benefits much faster. Okay, so I'm just going to go into a few common pitfalls or things to watch out for. And first one is, there's no shortcuts to success. If someone has an attitude, well, okay, I'm going to bring in Industry 4.0, it's going to fix my problems, and I'll have them fixed in a couple of months, then it's not going to happen. This takes time. You've got to have, it's a journey you got to go on within your company and with your partners. And there is no shortcuts. That's really important to have in your mind. Industry 4.0 is not a silver bullet. I've seen companies saying, we got this problem, technology will fix it, just get it in there. Technology alone does not fix problems. And as I mentioned many times already, people and process with technology do. Digital transformation starts with people, not technology. So again, covered it a few times here. It's all about the people. I think getting the people mindset right and getting the culture right is, I would say, even more challenging than the technology itself. But you got to start with the people and the process. Technology then enhances your solutions. Don't assume stakeholder buy-in, secure it. It's at every level, you got to go check, have I got the buy-in? Have I got the team on board? Have I got their support? So you got to go check, don't assume it. And you got to check it all the way through. So as you're implementing phase 1, phase 2, engage the stakeholders, get their feedback. And there are no surprises then. It's not on top of you that if you're the leader of it and you're not engaging stakeholders and there's a problem, you'll have everybody attacking you. But when you engage with stakeholders, they become part of the solution. So you're solving problems together. So that is vital. The next thing, and I've seen so many companies that I've visited over the last 2 years make mistakes here. You collect data because you need it, not because you can. So I have visited companies that where technology providers have come in and overwhelmed them with data because it's easy. Technology companies will show you data, show you lots of lovely charts and real-time graphs. In a lot of cases, it's easy to do it. But where the challenge comes in is really, well, what data do I really need? And that's where a technology company should be helping with as well. So what are the KPIs I need to run my business? What are the metrics that are important to me? And then collect the data that you need for those metrics. And you can always add to it later. But it's so important that you start with the data that's relevant, and you don't have to do it all in one go. You don't have to do it all day one. It's something you build over time, and also you got to be careful if you collect all of a sudden go from little data collection to a storage of data collection. You get overwhelmed, and then you'll have problems with cost, whether it's on premise, cost of storage. It's growing and growing and growing, and the bigger it grows, the harder it is to fix if you haven't done it right. And I have seen companies and multinationals make mistakes in this space, and we're now trying to go back and say, well, how do we decipher all of this data that's growing every day? I'm not going to go through everything on this, but I think Lean is a great foundation for Industry 4.0, and there's lots here, but I think this is something I can send out to anybody that's interested afterwards. But if you look here in the bottom left chart, this is the if I just move my screen a second, yeah, this is the curve for lean improvement. So you can see here value on the left column, effort on the bottom. So you can see there, you go through a lean program, and it takes you through a phase of optimization of your processes. But Industry 4.0 can enhance that so much further. So if you've got a lean program in place and you're running it for a while, you see this black dot here is in the future, and as you roll out your Industry 4.0, you can, with your lean program, you can get so much more value generated. So for example, an example of that would be if you have, and I've used them many times, whiteboards in a process where you're putting up information, and I see lots of companies use them, and they're great because you get everybody around the board, and you review how you performed yesterday, and you action that, and you drive improvement. But with Industry 4.0, you can change that to having your whiteboard live. So as your process is performing, the information that used to be on your whiteboard is on your device, or it's on the screen on the production floor. And you can get into looking at the here and now, what's happening in your process, and drive improvement from there. And once you're at that, then you get into predicting the future, well, based on scenarios, you build your models and machine learning algorithms that basically show you or alert you to issues before they happen, so you can action things that previously you wouldn't have seen, or previously that lean wouldn't be able to tell you. So the benefits of putting Industry 4.0 on a lean foundation are quite significant. And I won't go through everything on the right, but everyone's familiar with the 7 wastes, like overproduction, inventory. This table here shows you what lean does and how lean can improve them. But on the right hand side is how Industry 4 or digital can improve them. If anyone's interested, I can email these slides afterwards, but I found this quite interesting when I read through this article. The next one is IT and OT, alignment. I often get, when I go into some companies, can we do this without IoT? Can we implement this without having to go to our local or global IT function? In some cases, yeah, you can, but really to be effective in an Industry 4.0 transformation, you really got to be aligned with IT, have OT and IT aligned, because you will have you'll avoid conflict down the road, but you'll also be setting yourself up for success. And I suppose the challenge with that is, particularly in larger companies, you have large IT global organizations that have a big roadmap of development, and sometimes the Industry 4.0 may not be prominent on that, and it can cause delays in that. So there are challenges, but I think it's really important that you think about how you align those two. The next one is people, process, technology. So don't look at an Industry 4.0 transformation as a technology project on its own. When you have the people on board, you have the process ready for it, then you can see the intersection is a success. So, so important. Challenge the status quo all the time. So you're definitely going to hear during your journey, we've always done it this way, and this is how we do it here. And you got to be ready to challenge that because that mindset doesn't work for a transformation like this. So be ready to and know how you're going to deal with that, because you got to deal with it, and you got to. And it's really, I think, about education and showing people and demonstrating them the benefits of what you're trying to do, and go to other companies who are doing something, or maybe that are further down the road than you, and always look to ways of convincing the people that make statements like this that the future is better. Okay, so in this section now, I'm going to talk about workflow and how we provide Industry 4.0 solutions to our clients. So just to bring you back again for a second, back to this, where leaders of companies see their focus areas going forward for Industry 4.0. And I've underlined the key ones here, and this is what we do in Workflow. This is what we're all about. So we provide the digital technologies to enable remote work for non-frontline workers. We provide the view on the end-to-end supply chain, all the way from customer order, customer delivery, and giving that visibility, and the visualization from any location, real time, any device. We do predictive analytics for better forecasting accuracy and planning, and predictive analytics on the equipment maintenance and so on. Wearables, we have deployed some projects where we use watches, where we send alert to people's watches and processes. So I suppose the COVID crisis has driven new requirements, and I think the Industry 4.0 can solution a lot of the needs, or almost all the needs of companies in the future. And there they are underlined here, and that's really what we're all about at Workflow. So just a little bit on our background, and I mentioned already that on the bottom left here is, in my past, I would have worked for Dell and installed factories in all these locations around the world. And I suppose when I ran factories for Dell, we had a relentless focus on productivity, and we had the whiteboards for every hour. We could see what was going on in the process. That's why we set up Workflow, is actually to provide a software platform to do that. So you can see here on the right-hand side, this is, we have installations in Ireland, in Chengdu, China, Guangzhou, China. We're currently doing 2 sites in Brazil. We're the early stages of our project in Gdansk, and we're started working with clients in Xiamen and Ningbo. So we have a team of 7 based in Limerick, and we have a project manager based in China. And we have experience across our team of 7. We have experience in IoT, software development, project management, ops management, and data analytics. So we provide the full turnkey Industry 4.0 solutions. Just looking at when we started up Workflow, I would have spent a lot of time connecting. I used to work in Dell, so many connections across the globe and across different industries. And I would have visited a lot of companies just to understand what kind of challenges companies in other sectors were having. But it all comes back to 4 key high-level challenges around companies trying to reduce cost, trying to meet their on-time deliveries, quality of product, and equipment performance. So our approach to problem solving is the Lean Industry 4.0. So we have experience in the background in lean, and generally lean projects on their own will deliver a 15 to 20% cost reduction. Technology projects on their own, a bit less at 10 to 15, but when you combine both to give you live, good KPI data that drives accountability, you can get cost reductions of 20 to 40% or more. So that's our approach within Workflow. If I take a step through here and just step you through the key steps we do with most clients, the first thing we do is we help our clients to find the right KPIs. So what are the problems you're trying to fix within your business, and what are the measurements you need to put in place? We follow that then by taking those KPIs and looking at how we connect to the process. And we connect to the process in a few ways. It's either through a PLC connection. We can do an IoT retrofit. So if you've got old conventional equipment with no PLC, we can do a retrofit of that machine to capture any parameter like vibration, pressure, temperature, etc., and feed that into our through a gateway into the cloud, or a tablet at the workface. So they're the main, the three main, or through RFID, the four main connection points in the process. But when you're looking at solving customer problems and looking at KPIs, almost always you're going to connect into ERP systems to get information like a production schedule or part status, and MES systems for other information. It could be test data, whatever is relevant. So we take all of that information and we bring it into the cloud or on-premise servers. We shape and store the data. Then from that, we give you your live KPIs with drill down to any level of detail required. And through our platform, we drive action. If you've got a right KPI, an action automatically goes to the person that needs to fix it, and you can track that. So looking at a typical process, we do line output performance by station, by product, high-level KPI dashboards that you can drill down into any level from there. Equipment utilization, uptime, runtime, idle time, downtime. Then line takt time performance and bottleneck monitoring. So looking at where is the constraint in your process and live monitoring of that. We have others here like cycle time performance, end-to-end or by station, line quality, and then here's one on equipment uptime or equipment performance and monitoring the status of equipment. So we then, through that, then we provide like metrics like OEE. To some of our clients, we provide live OEE data on the process as the lines are running real time. We also do, and a lot of people would be familiar with PSQDC, a term in lean, and lots of companies have this on their whiteboards, where you have a high-level dashboard for people, safety, quality, delivery, and cost, where you're filling out your status each day. Within Workflow, we have what we call ConnectWorks, and we can attach to a process and completely automate the reporting and the whiteboards that display these metrics. And as I mentioned, access from anywhere. You can have a large screen showing your factory performance globally. You can see it on a laptop, on a mobile phone, on the move, and real time. We also you can drill down into we do statistical analysis, upper lower control limits, run charts, etc. Monitoring your process performance in any level of detail that's needed to drive improvement. And the last slide here then is a McKinsey slide that I thought we'll just put in there. I mean, this is what they have called out what Industry 4 will deliver, particularly manufacturing. So you can see they're quite significant. 85% of forecast accuracy, 10 to 30% on engineering design costs, up to 40% on inventory holding costs, almost halving your machine downtime, doubling your labor productivity, and reducing your cost of poor quality by 40%. They're quite significant, and And I do believe lots of companies can achieve that, but you will only achieve it by going through the steps that I've outlined above. And I think the key thing is make sure you've got a platform with good culture, with your people, process, and technology aligned. And when you do that, with your step-by-step plan, with your vision created, this is what's achievable. Okay, so that covers the presentation. And if anybody needs a copy of this, I can, you see my contact details there, but I can make this available to anyone that wants a copy of it. Okay, so is there any questions or comments from anyone?
Hi, Tim. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to ask about how everything has been affected in the, in particular in your line of work and in Industry 4.0 in general by the COVID-19 disruption, which I assume has, changes a lot of things when you look at, people need to be socially distanced now and in manufacturing and everything. And it's brought up probably a lot of new challenges that, Industry 4.0 will change its
Yeah, it's
some goals, I'd say.
Yeah, very good question. And I suppose when back a year ago when the crisis hit it, I think it hit particularly companies like ourselves, but technology companies are really hit hard in that. I think before we would have been going to customer sites, face-to-face engagement, and going on the production lines and doing our installations and working very closely with the customer that way. And we've had to adapt very, very quickly where, okay, how do we deliver solutions to clients where we don't have to be on site? And because particularly in the pharma med tech, where not even, in a lot of cases, in a lot of industries, the frontline, the non-frontline workers are not even allowed on site. So what we've done is we have, like for example, we just did a project in Guangzhou, China, the middle of last year, July, August timeframe. So what we were able to do was we looked at how do we become smarter in implementing solutions remotely. So what we were able to do is we were able to go to the client and through Zoom calls, understand the problem that they were trying to fix. We said, right, based on what you need, here's how we need to connect to the process. They took us through their line designs, etc. And from that, we put back our proposal to them. And from there, then what we were able to do was just we were able to put a local person. So, for example, in China, we couldn't travel there because of the restrictions, but it wasn't as restricted in China. So, given that I have worked in many countries for Dell, I know the people and I know who to talk to get into these factories. So we were able to put a person in for 5 days into this highly automated line in China, connecting everything. He left, and then everything then was continued on Zoom calls and remote configuration. So I suppose we've had to become adaptable and smarter so that we can do things like that, that we can that we don't have to be on the customer site, and that we're effective on Zoom calls, that we have. So we put a plan in place around how we work now versus how we work a year ago, and it's working quite well for us. We don't have to wait till the crisis is over, and we're able to do these implementations anywhere in the world. That I think our solutions becoming ever more important as well, because people want to be able to access how their process and operation is performing remotely, and we provide those solutions. So yeah, I think we have really adapted and changed. We've had to over the last year, like many other companies like us. So our time required on site now is really down to a minimum. And even in some cases, we're talking early stages with some clients where we'll just send them the instructions of what needs to be installed on the line and connected, and we support them. We support it remotely. We have an early stages of a project in Poland actually that we can do this, and we can still deliver the same results, but we're doing it in a different way.
Okay, thanks, Tim. If anyone would like to ask any questions verbally as well, the microphones are unmuted now if you want to talk.
There's one here I see. Where would you start if the floor technology is out of date? It's a good question. We look. We always do an assessment of this actually when we go to any site. Like we ask the client, like, what is the strategic or long-term plan is important. So for example, we went to one client. We're doing work over a year now with one client, and we have a 25-year-old Infor system, an ERP system. It works very well for them, and Infor still supported and will continue to do so. So, but this company they're not looking at major growth, but they're looking at just small growth annually. So what we've done is we've wrapped our solution around their system, and we've created a whole new look without having to implement a whole new ERP system. So so we're able to do things like that. If you have a process where there isn't a single sensor, it could be a manual production line, it could be old conventional machines. We can put sensors on those, non-invasive retrofits, quite easy to do. So we can make, say, an old grinding machine or a milling machine. We can capture all sorts of data from that by putting in IoT devices. But I suppose if a company is looking at major growth, have an old ERP system, we'd ask them to kind of look at, well, just make sure that if you're growing and you're putting off the decision on putting in a new ERP system or new solutions, then you really got to be careful. So we'd advise companies on that. So I suppose if you've got really old technology, out-of-date technology on your floor, that's the good thing about Industry 4.0. You can attach the missing pieces onto your process. But so there are some of the key considerations to consider. But I would say, like, I've heard people say our process is too old for any of this stuff, and then when you educate them and you do some proof of concepts, you can show that doesn't matter what your process is, Industry 4.0 can be made work very effectively.
Hi team, Wen Chen here. Hi Sata. So excellent presentation. Thanks for introducing the RexFlow and talk about the Industry 4.0 implications according to your own experience. As you yourself were a senior employee in Dell worldwide, including China market, and now you're become a founder and then CEO of a startup for a SaaS company by helping Industry 4.0 implementing as well. So my question is that now, in terms of a competitive advantage, your RexFlow solution, could your RexFlow solution help to reduce the gap between the corporate guys, the big corporate companies, and the medium manufacturers, just in terms of reduce the to help the medium or even small manufacturers to catch up with the large operations or organizations by implementing your RexFlow and similar Industry 4.0 technology?
Yeah, well, it's a good question. So I suppose when I look at there's lots of companies like us out there, and there's lots of different types of Industry 4.0 companies. And I look at two areas where we are different. First one is our background. We actually have an operations background. So when we engage with clients, we actually don't start with a technology discussion. We start with a problem. And then the second part of it is you hear lots of tech companies saying, we give you actionable data. So we provide the data that you can take action on. What we do is we actually take action on the data. So our platform will pick up the problems and it will drive them to the people that need to fix and hold them accountable. So when you look at when at small companies and large companies, I think small companies can be as effective or even more effective than large companies And it's all about, excuse me, it's all about how you, sorry, I want to take a drink. It's all about how you approach it. And to me, it's about, you don't have to be worried that it's, oh my God, this is big investment. I'm going to spend hundreds of thousands. I'm a small company. I can't afford it. You create the vision, and then you start with a small project. And when you spend money, you expect to get benefit from it. So when you break it out into manageable sizes, a small business can take these steps and know that if they spend money, it's not a big amount and it's a low risk. And small companies can become, the benefits of a small companies are more agile. They can adapt and change. Their IT is they're less probably bureaucratic, or they're less tied up in corporate or global IT directives and so on. So I think I see large companies, small companies. This works for everybody. It's all about the approach, and nobody needs to be left behind, because when you do it the right way, I mean, we work with some small companies, and I know that some large companies would love the solutions that they're putting in. And I think the good thing is about this is this works for everybody, and it's really about the planning and the way you approach it. There's a question there also on, do you partner with any platform provider or works for their own? Our platform is our own, but we are partnered with Avantec. So we get a lot of support globally from Avantec. It's who we buy our hardware from. So we have a couple of partners there in the Avantec network, like Alientia and IFM. So, but our software, our solutions, our real-time information is built by us, and we built our software. It's the software I wish I had years ago when I was running factories. And so we have the operational background, we have the technology expertise, and that's why we set ourselves up, because we knew we could add a lot of value in this whole space. Okay, I think when we're nearly out of time, are we? Or any other questions?
Yeah, we still have 5 minutes, can play. So
Okay.
maybe one more questions, guys. Anybody has one more question, guys? Last one.
Just so everybody or anybody on the call here, if you want to get a copy of this, it's you can see, I don't know if you still see my screen, but tim.crow@worksflow.com. Feel free to drop me an email, and I'll send you a copy of this, no problem.
Thanks, Tim. That's great. We got a request or two for the slides, so there'll be some people
sure.
happy to take up that offer.
Yeah, sure, no problem.
Just to say thanks, Tim. It's great to have a very, very simple overview of what we all think is very complex.
Yeah, I think that when I put this together, I think it's important that that for most people, they want something that's understandable. There's no point in coming on and overwhelming people with tech slides around all of how great the technology is. I think the most important thing is, well, just assume the technology can do what it does. How can it yield benefit is the most important thing.
Okay, so I guess we'll wrap up. Thanks very much, Tim. Great
Just type
presentation.
in my email address there on the chat, so anyone that wants to pick it up there can do so. Okay, thanks everyone for listening, and enjoy the rest of the event. It's really great when it's fantastic. I was on some of the earlier sessions, so I think this is one of the best IoT events I've attended. So well done on between yourself and the Nimbus for organizing. It's fantastic.
Thank you, team. And then I'm sure if there's any queries from the organization across Asia and Europe about RexFlow, we will be in touch.
Okay.
Thanks again for your presentation today.
Okay, thanks everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.